Welcome everyone to the Consistently OK podcast. My name's Luke and I'm here as always with Nick.
Buongiorno.
Presenting you with a podcast centered around pop culture that we do our very best to make consistently okay for you. Each month we give you one episode where we talk about all things pop culture related and break down our thoughts and more on it. Our second monthly episode will be our in-depth series, and this season we're focusing on the Batman, from films to animation, where we'll take you on a journey through the highs and lows, ins and outs of the representation of Batman through the years. This week's sponsor comes from Bingetown TV. Here they are to tell us more about their podcasts.
What's up, everybody? This is Brian here to tell you about our podcast, Bingetown TV. Our hosts include 7 best friends with a love for all things television. We cover a range of genres with a focus on fantasy and sci-fi, but also dip our feet into drama, horror, comedy, and pretty much anything we think is good television. We use the traditional deep dive formula for new live shows that are released week to week, but our calling card is our Rooks and Vets and Pitchtown TV series. Rooks and Vets pairs 2 of our hosts that have seen a show with 2 of our hosts that have not seen a show. Pitchtown TV is when we have a special guest pitch us a show by having us watch the pilot and trying to convince us to watch the rest. If you're craving more content on some of your favorite TV shows, then you should listen to Bingetown TV.
Find us on our website at bingetowntv.com, the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, or wherever else you may find your podcast.
All right, so we're doing another in-depth episode this week, and we're finally on the best Batman film ever. I'm going to say it now, The Dark Knight, and we're joined by our bestest buddy, Mr. Harry Hughes. Welcome, Harry.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. I would say you're my bestest buddies, but that would be a lie.
Yeah.
So good to be back. Because you're my better than bestest buddies.
Thanks. I was going to say it's a podcast, so no one can see my tears, but it's
We're
good recovery.
we're your best enemies. There you go.
So sweet.
Benemies.
Enemies.
All right, so I'm going to assume, as we're going to talk about The Dark Knight, that all 3 of us have recently rewatched The Dark Knight.
I have.
Did you do your homework, Harry?
I did. Sorry, that sounds very convincing. I was gulping down a beverage, but I did.
Excellent. So, I mean, we'll just do what I think this is probably like, if we have merchandise made, let's dive right in would be one of the quotations on the t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dive right in.
Yeah.
So should I just do a breakdown quickly of like the film like I normally do? Let's do. So, The Dark Knight, directed by Christopher Nolan. It's the second of his Dark Knight trilogy. It came out in 2008.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
I was just
That
a young
me
lad
feel old.
drinking himself silly.
Same year as Iron Man, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I remember when it came out. I was in Ibiza, I think, and I was trying to talk to all my friends I was at Ibiza with about why they need to go and see The Dark Knight because of Batman Begins and Heath Ledger being the Joker.
Did we all did
go?
Ibiza?
No, we saw it the day after we got back, so we were all quite.
Oh, okay.
We weren't our best selves after a week of heavy drinking, and we watched it, and they all loved it because it's awesome for the most part. So it came out in 2008, and it had a budget of 185 million, which I actually thought was quite low when I read it earlier, but it did do $1 billion
That's
at the
pretty
box
good.
office. It's pretty
Very
good. And we will have talk about the score, which is by Hans Zimmer, which is
Yes.
awesome.
Good.
Just awesome.
Yes.
And it's obviously we'll talk about the cast as well. Obviously, Christian Bale's back, Michael Caine's back, Gary Oldman's back, and we're joined by Heath Ledger, Aaron Eckhart, and Maggie Gyllenhaal, who replaced Katie Holmes, who actually I thought was just not cast again because of issues, but I actually found out today that it was a completely different reason.
I'm throwing a rumor into the world here, but I'm pretty sure I've read a rumor that she was asked that, like, Tom Cruise's people asked her not to do it.
Well, I just read that she decided, well, I mean, all of this could be linked, but she chose to do a film with Queen Latifah instead called Mad Money, maybe? And you just got to think. So then, of course, I Googled that film and I was like, I wonder if that did anywhere near as good as The Dark Knight did at the box office. It did not.
Oh.
Critically panned and then not much money, but you missed out on The Dark Knight. But still, anyway, is what it is. So You're lost, Katie Holmes.
I like Maggie Gyllenhaal, so
I like Maggie
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal too. I like consistency though. You know.
I agree. I don't like it when they change actors. You could change it to a better actor if it was the case, but it would still annoy me that the continuity's gone.
Don Cheadle.
So, so I'm there. I like Maggie Gyllenhaal, but it does slightly grieve me that they've had to change, like to recast someone.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't.
Minor niggle.
It is a minor niggle because again, when you're watching it, you forget about it really. But the fact that I don't think they come across. They just are completely different actresses. Obviously, that's obvious, but they just Maggie Gyllenhaal plays a different way to the way Katie Holmes was playing it. Katie Holmes seemed a lot more, I don't know, serious, maybe a bit gritty. I don't know, and she didn't. Maggie Gyllenhaal didn't feel like, but she does a great job in it still. So, The Dark Knight. Anybody want to kick us off with their thoughts on the film? I guess we normally say we're going to start from beginning to end, but likelihood between us three, we'll start at the end, then go somewhere back to the beginning, and then go through the middle. But
yeah, I can kick this off. So
help me God if you say you don't like it, Nick.
It was the first ever film I saw in IMAX.
Nice.
There was a massive IMAX in Birmingham, and my brother and I wanted to see The Dark Knight on like the biggest screen possible, and because we kept reading about the fact that they had shot specific scenes in IMAX, we were like, let's try and find an IMAX. And I remember us looking like at other places, and then we just landed at the one in Birmingham. And the Birmingham IMAX was like it's like the proper 4x3 IMAX, so it wasn't like a widescreen, it was like boxed in, it was enormous, and the seating was like raised a little bit above the screen, so the screen sort of went all the way down and you sort of like almost looked down at it. And so the opening shot where it's going out across the city, you sort of felt like you were flying because like the screen just fully immersed you in the shot. It was crazy, and it was just so cool, like that whole opening segment right up until I think he drives the bus out of the bank. That's all done in IMAX. And so it was just like the most intense opening. And to somebody who hadn't done IMAX before, I was just like, oh my God. So love the
especially with the score as well. It must have felt
it was huge. And it was packed. Like it was an absolute packed cinema, like proper like elbows to elbows, but it was just awesome. And I still love it. Like
Nolan loves loud as well, doesn't he? So
yeah,
it was loud.
It would be nuts to watch IMAX. Yeah,
probably on the quieter end of his films, though. I think the loud peaked with Interstellar.
Sure. But it's still noisy.
Yeah, definitely.
Tenant's pretty loud as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the like little Joker theme where it does that weird like whine that just gets louder and louder. Like, whenever anything happens, it seems with the Joker, it just has that like slowly, like the pitch just increases and gets louder and louder, like in the bank scene and stuff. Oh my God, that in IMAX would be awful.
Yeah,
great, but
let's talk about the opening scene because for me that's one of the standout. I don't know. It's one of the best openings in a superhero film. Maybe I enjoy it for many other films. I think it's fantastic as well, but it really stands out to me. I love the opening shot of Joker from behind, like when he's just holding his mask, and I love every beat to that opening. But I love the fact that the criminals are all think they're one up on each other.
Yep.
And then it ends the way it ends with obviously Joker having the last laugh in that scene, and I just think it's such a good way to introduce that character because it is just chaos, and you establish very early on that he is just that is who he is. It's just a bit chaotic, and I think the only thing that I don't like about it is the timing of the buses. That's the only bit that always stands out to me. That there's very convenient, and everyone just keeps going about their days, even though a bus is pulling out of a bank. But anyway, that's a minor niggle as well. But what do you two think of that opening?
Did you enjoy also the fact that in the background of the first shot with the Joker, there's a Spider-Man 2 poster? Is it Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3? Yeah, in the backdrop. So like when he stood with the bag.
Be Spider-Man 3.
I don't know which one it is. Spider-Man 3 then.
Because if Dark Knight came out in 08.
Yeah, there's the shot where he stood by on the corner with the bag. There's a building in the background with a Spider-Man poster on it. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. God,
That can't be
fun
Spider. No,
fact.
is that Spider-Man?
I'm telling you.
Yeah, maybe.
Spider-Man 3 was like 07, right?
Wouldn't it have
I
been
don't
the
know.
amazing?
It's in
Wouldn't
the
it have been the
background.
Amazing Spider-Man though?
That was 2012.
It's a Tobey
that was up
Maguire
against Dark
poster.
Knight Rises.
Oh yeah.
I think that
so I was-
when they were
yeah,
filming it,
that's right.
bear in mind, there's a not necessarily it's when they were filming it, not when it was released. So
Yes,
Yeah,
it would have
whatever
been
Spider-Man it was, yeah, there's a poster in the background.
that classic film.
Didn't notice. I think my focus is too much on Joker, but I've never noticed.
I
To watch it
only
again.
saw it in like a picture on
Okay.
the internet, and then I now notice it every time I watch it. I'm like, yeah, there he is.
Was Tobey
Tobey Maguire
dancing in the scene as well?
Yeah.
Like
If you watch
Joker.
really closely as he gets in the car, and
Yeah.
he's like three guys. That's it. Out the side of the window, you can see him come out the doors of that club and do like a gyrating thing. Yeah, just off to the side. It's real
What a
quick.
film.
Though. Blink and you
It's
miss
just
it.
Sam. Yeah, just Sam Raimi filming on the side.
Yeah, they're all there.
It's a real. I love the opening. I love it every single time. I just think when you first see his face as well, and it's just obviously there's the different versions of Joker, but I think it was such a unique version of Joker, like because it wasn't the paint on his face wasn't so clean, and or like if it's if it's scarring or whatever, then it just looked it just looks so good.
I mean, he wasn't like acid backed, was he? He was just
it's just the old war paint. The thing I did anyone else think with that opening scene as well? Like all the clown goons, I feel like I recognize all of the actors' voices, but I've never once checked to see who they all are. But like all of the voices sound like an actor I've heard before. Like the one at the end who's like, where's the rest of the guys? I do recognize who that is because he's in Small Soldiers. So, don't know, have you guys seen Small Soldiers?
I have. Cracking film.
Okay. The guy, yeah, it's fucking great. It's like fine wine.
So,
It gets better every time I watch it. But the guy with the truck who shows up to deliver all the toys at the beginning. Sorry, frog in my throat. The guy who gets off the back of the truck, he's like, look, I'll just give you a bunch of them to have in the store. That guy is the clown who gets off the bus like, whoa, that's a lot of money. And then he's like, where are the rest of the guys? And he just gets shot up. That's that guy from Small Soldiers. And all the other voices from the other clowns, I'm like, I know who that is. I don't know what I've seen or heard of it. But yeah, I need to Google it basically. Yeah, they'll be on there. But all of them have a voice. I'm like, I've seen you in something before. And I'm not sure if it is the case or I've just now seen it so many times. I'm really familiar with the voices.
Yeah, signing it. Yeah.
But that last one is definitely the guy from Small Soldiers. 100%. Tangent, but have that as you will.
You're
full of trivia already.
Yeah. This is what this will be for me, really, to be honest. Because it's not like it's a new release that I can just go, oh, this was fun, this was new. I will just have I'll just have trivia tidbits as we go along because there's probably a bunch.
It's like when we had Neil on for Batman Returns from Get Your Comic Con. He had so much knowledge of like some trivia bits from that. It was great.
Yeah,
nice.
Neil back
maybe
for Dark Knight Rises, and I'm curious to know what trivia he's going to throw at us then.
Maybe instead of like special guests on your like what's it, episode poster thing, just have trivia by. So you don't invite guests on because of who they are. You're just inviting them because of their trivia.
Yeah.
So you get the right person in for the right things. So you can have this week's trivia star.
And if ever we do like proper recordings where people can watch the whole episode on video, we can just have little trivia captions with a cartoon of you. Every now and again.
I just pop up from the bottom with like a little flag. It's silent, so I don't interrupt anything. But it's like, oh, little trivia man again. Like
Harry says there's a Spider-Man poster in the back of this shot.
I really fucking hope there is. Hold on, I'm going to Google this now. I'm 100% sure this is right, but I feel like now that I don't want to just like drop this knowledge in and then it'd be wrong. No, I'm sure it's true. Hold on, Spider-Man. I'll just put my Spider-Man poster. Spider-Man poster.
You Google that. I'm just going to ask Nick something. And I'm going to jump into something that's probably way ahead of what we do. But I'm just very, very curious, not only from your message, but also from your reaction when I said about it being.
I found it. It's true.
It's true.
Just it's there. Like it's on Google Images.
Now we can sleep easy.
Yeah,
I can at least.
I just get up at 2 a.m. just to go downstairs and watch The Dark Knight again. The whole film, even though I only need to watch the first 4 minutes.
Literally,
What are your feelings on this film then, Nick? Because you've seen, I don't know, in my head I've always believed that you loved it like I did, because where are we again?
Can I jump in? Because I feel like I can explain from my experience what I remember. Because I remember in school,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it'd have been in school. I remember in school, everyone loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna say except Nick,
Mm-hmm.
but Nick wasn't sold on it particularly.
Okay.
Is that fair to say? I don't know if your opinion of it has warmed over time, or is it the other way around?
Other way around. When it came out, I absolutely loved it. I think I saw it like 3 or 4 times in cinema, like all IMAX. And I like absolutely loved it. I was like, it's the best superhero film. It's just genius. And then what happened is that I went back and started.
They announced Andrew Garfield.
They announced Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I was like, well, that's the best superhero film ever made. I started reading more Batman comics and started getting frustrated by the way that Batman is done in The Dark Knight. So I think Batman Begins is a perfect Batman film. I think Dark Knight is Heat with 2 people in costumes. And it annoys me because if you removed the costumes, if you removed like Batman as Batman and just had him as a cop, and if you change the Joker so he's just a criminal, you've got an amazing crime film. But because you've got the costume of Batman, you've got the costume of the Joker, it then clashes in my head because I'm like, you're not in Gotham. There's nothing about it that says Gotham to me. And I don't particularly get on with like how Batman and Joker are done. Like I think the performance is amazing of Joker, and I like that, you know, there isn't a backstory to him. I can dig all that. I just struggle with placing him in a world that isn't Gotham. Like I want to see that version of Joker in the Gotham that is in Batman Begins. The one that's like, it's seedy, it's torn down, it's got a real issue with like crime and poverty, and there's lots of different layers to it. Essentially what I want is like I could deal with Bale's Batman, but I want the Gotham from the Joker film that feels like this is gritty and like it's grim.
This is a richer Gotham, isn't it? This is the thing, isn't it? With this, they've gone bigger than Batman Begins Gotham, but in doing so, there's a lot more focus on.
It's just Chicago, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, it's just Chicago. It's a lot more daytime than nighttime.
Yeah.
For a start, and they're very much focused on like the criminals are rich, obviously, and things, but it's not. It's not as gritty as Batman Begins or like you said, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yeah, and I think that for me, just it starts to clash more. Like the more I read Batman, the more I'm like, well, Gotham is such an integral part of what Batman is, and like how it informs his character and how it informs the villains. And when you remove that, I then just start to go like, oh, I kind of wish this film was just, it just didn't have Batman or Joker in it, that it was just a cop and a really smart criminal, and that it just didn't have the attached to like comic books. And then last year I read Long Halloween, and that, which I absolutely loved, aggravated me even more towards The Dark Knight, because I was like, the way that they do Two-Face in Long Halloween is perfect.
Yeah.
And it's so poor in The Dark Knight. Like, so poor. Story-wise, visual, fine. I just think story-wise, it's like it's like hammered in, and it doesn't quite land with me.
Do you not think? I mean, I agree with you for the most part as well, but because I also really like a lot of it as well, I'm not fully on board with the, you know, like get it. For me, it's I really enjoy it every single time I watch it, apart from some of the third act, which I'm not a huge fan of the third act, but I think what I like about it most is it's because we were talking about this with the Robert Pattinson Batman that's coming out. Is like it's the first real kind of detective Batman film, because he is more of a detective in this than you think about when they're doing the bullet things, and he's trying to find out who, or he's trying to track down the Joker, isn't he? Which is difficult because There's no trace of him anywhere.
Yeah.
And even with the very silly, which leads into that, with the Morgan Freeman sonar thing, which is a bit out there, which I think is just really weird. I think that's why I can easily forget about, even though I really care about the Gotham stuff as well, but I find it very interesting that, like you said, if you take away the costumes, that it's just a good detective and a criminal, but makes me like it just as much that it isn't. It's the fact that it's Joker, like, because they wanted to bring, I'm rambling, but they're trying to bring it down to earth, aren't they? Because we've come from the Joel Schumacher Batman films.
Classics.
We've gone from the Tim Burton ones, which were good and very costumes and like over the top superhero, which
disco,
not over top, like disco. And then you've got the Joel Schumacher one, which is like the camp, like really, like there's not just OTT, it's like really fucking out there. It's like,
LSD.
And then you've got this, which is down to earth, which is the Batman that we've already spoken about, that we wanted, and what we. I think you're going to find the best of both worlds in the Batman when it comes out, because I think you'll get a mixture of like not Tim Burton, but like a bit of Tim Burton with a bit of Christopher Nolan, and Matt Reeves with his own stamp on it, one that we can probably, a lot of us could resonate with, hopefully. Not where we're going to go and be vigilantes, but it's down to earth.
Oh, we're not.
We are, but don't tell people.
I thought I was agreed. Yeah. Oh shit, yeah. I mean,
Harry's a little trivia at the bottom. Harry is vigilante. But I think this is the first time where we get, because even Batman Begins was a little bit out there as well, because you've got the Ra's al Ghul stuff as well, which I don't know, just still down to earth. But you've got Scarecrow, and you've got Fear Gas and stuff like that. But this one was a detective story with a criminal with costumes on, but I really liked it, and I actually think you could probably take the Two-Face stuff out sometimes as well, and you could have done a whole Two-Face film. But they obviously, all these super films, they try and shoehorn in another second one. But actually, what they did with Two-Face, it worked because of the White Knight Dark Knight thing. But I think for me, I just forgot about the Gotham stuff, and although I do think it's necessary, I knew it was there, but it wasn't like poured out onto the screen, like, because like Tim Burton's one was so Gotham, wasn't it? It was like, we said about the oil paintings and stuff, and it was always dark. You barely had any daytime stuff. I don't know if what I said made sense, but it's because I kind of agree with you, but I also I was so in on the hunting the Joker stuff down. That's what I want, because it would have been really easy for Batman just to track Joker down straight away, or they just have a huge confrontation straight away. But I think it was good.
Yeah, I think I think it's fine. I think this rewatch, the bit that all of this sort of clicked in place for me, was when he goes to China, and it doesn't feel like he's necessarily left their version of Gotham.
I thought this.
It still feels like
that's very similar.
Same place.
Yeah.
And also at that point as well, like, again, you're taking Batman like way out of Gotham, and putting him into an environment that's like how would China feel about Batman? Like, you're literally putting him into another country who doesn't have a superhero as far as we know. So I'm like, surely there's like something there's like a story there. There's something that just feels weird to pull him out.
He has the confrontation with the police there, though, doesn't he? Which I think adds up. That's fun, because whereas in Gotham they're sort of lenient to his doings and comings and goings.
Because he literally has to face isn't he? So he's got an ally in Gotham.
Face the SWAT in China, which I thought was awesome. I enjoyed them removing him from Gotham for a bit, because it's like a fun. I just never thought of it as a thing. I think like you said, everything else I've seen, it's he shows up, he's in Gotham, that's that, or it's like Metropolis. If you're going for like the Snyder stuff, he's very much he is where he's set in the comics. Yeah, but this I thought it was cool having him dragged. I quite like the change of scenery.
I think it's like done really well.
Like a change of scenery visually.
That's my issue, is that, like, again, like, I'm not saying this is like a bad film. I'm just saying, like, I almost wish it wasn't a comic book film. And I think that is really apparent in the fact that he does leave the city, and it's like, it doesn't necessarily tonally feel any different. Like, color palettes are the same. Everything sort of feels exactly the same. It's just he's in another country.
I mean, I guess you could have said that Gotham. You wouldn't know, for instance, if in that opening scene with Joker, if he was in Gotham or in Metropolis.
Yeah,
like, you wouldn't know because it doesn't feel like Gotham. I think there are bits that feel a bit like Gotham, though, aren't there? Like the bits.
There's the back alley scene where he's doing the coin toss, where Two-Face is doing the coin toss with the deranged guy from the parade. That feels very Gotham because it's just a dark alley.
Yeah. And the bit, I mean, it's indoors, but when he goes in to meet the other criminals and stuff like that, feels like Gotham as well, like a bit of a seedy place. And like with the bar fight, when he's like, there's there's one spot available, but outdoor wise, no, I do agree with you, Nick. It doesn't feel. Yeah. I can see why that would take people out of take the enjoyment away from the film, but make them think twice about it in a way.
Yeah.
I would wonder if someone like Christopher Nolan would even think that was even a thing, because he's obviously, his script is good and the acting is good, isn't it? That he's probably not even considered that. But
yeah,
if you read something like The Long Halloween, which is very, very Gotham, Gothamy. Should we just say Gothamy?
Gothamy, yeah.
Gothic.
Yeah, they just released the deluxe edition of that, actually, Long Halloween, which is
so
pretty nice.
Yeah, I think it is a great film. I really wish it wasn't a comic book film and it was just like a really good crime film. But as you say, I think the Batman will be like the perfect balance for me. I think it's going to be that like kind of gritty but also realism.
Because that looks dark, doesn't it? That looks very like nighttime. A lot of that. I mean, that's what you want out of Batman film, don't you? A lot of nighttime stuff.
Looks the darkest, I think.
Again, as well, like even in like the small bit that we've seen in like Bat suits of like that Gotham, that also then has a style to it. Like that has a feel to it. And I think that's just the thing that the Dark Knight, and I assume Rises. I can't really remember much about Rises, but I think those two just lose their way.
Rises is the same.
Yeah,
the Rises has got way too much going on in the day. I don't know why I'm so big on the daytime, but I just you want the nighttime stuff, don't you? That's what you want to have Batman film. And there's an awful lot of Bane in walking around in his fluffy jacket in the daytime. But it's still. I mean, we'll
nice
talk about
coat though.
Great coat.
Do we think Christopher Nolan has a coat fetish? Because in the first one, there's the tramp that he gives the coat to, and he's like, nice coat. And then like all the way through, like the Joker's got like a purple suit, which they all comment on. And he's like, you ought to know, you bought it. Like he's got a nice coat. And then in the third one, Bane also has a nice coat. I think Christopher Nolan has a coat fetish.
Or maybe he keeps buying
there's
these
my
coats,
trivia for this one.
And he's like,
maybe they're Christopher Nolan's coats.
My wife is never going to like this coat. So he's like, if we make it popular in film, then she'll be like,
when you see him on like the red carpet, right? He's always in like a long black coat, right, and a scarf usually.
Maybe
coat fetish. I'm telling you, like
that's why he couldn't focus on Gotham. He was like coats.
Yeah, coats.
It's like, hold on, we got enough coats on.
we can make this look really Gotham. We just need to spend 10 million. It's like no, save it for the coat budget.
This is where we find out there was a legit coat budget for these films, which we're not even shocked.
So you go on to Wikipedia, it's like, the Consistently OK podcast discovered that Christopher Nolan has a coat budget, which we have confirmed is true. So,
nice. We'll get him on as a guest, and then you could just, that's the first question you ask Christopher Nolan. Like, do you have a coat fetish? And he'd be like, you got me.
I'm gonna show you a picture of something and tell me what you're thinking of. He's showing a picture of a square and he's like, coat.
Like, he's like, nice coat.
What did we all make of Scarecrow?
I love the fact that he's in it.
Yes.
He's the link, isn't he? I think we said this in the Batman Begins one, didn't we? That because it's obviously so good in Dark Knight Rises as well, with his high pitched voice. But I love it when there's because he's not a B-list villain by any means, but kind of in this trilogy he is at this point. But I love it when there's a recurring bad guy that links it all. Sort of I thought this with Spider-Man Homecoming. I really wanted Shocker to be that villain that just popped up in all three. Like he's always whenever I thought about I'm gonna write my own Spider-Man film one day, which will probably happen in the future, I always thought Shocker would he would be that villain That would be the one that would be like robbing a bank and Spider-Man stops
I would
him.
love that as well.
And then he's like,
Shocker is
in the
great.
second one, he's like got out of prison. And in the third one, he's just like completely down his luck. And he's just like, yeah, okay, I'm not even going to try. Like, you've got me. But I love the fact that Scarecrow is that in the Dark Knight trilogy. And I would love for, in the Batman, I know we keep going there, but I'd love for that to be Penguin. Like, I'd love Penguin to be the recurring thing in hopefully 3 Matt Reeves films, if it works out. Like, he's a big part of this, and then he's like in prison. It works so well. It'd be Kingpin would be perfect in the MCU if he could just be like recurring. I guess you got that with Nick Fury, but just I love that element with Scarecrow. And it's only so minor as well. He's only in it for a few minutes, but just knowing that he's in that world still, and he's not been forgotten about is great.
Yeah.
Trivia that you might all know at this point: Scarecrow is Christopher Nolan's favorite Batman villain.
Is he?
Nice.
That's why he's in it. Yeah, in all 3, he said.
Didn't know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you think
There you
Coolio was close to getting the part
Should
of
have been.
Christopher Nolan?
Coolio should have got the part.
I think
Let's
he
be
was
honest.
attempting.
He was robbed. He was primed.
Coolio.
And
It's
then
down to Cillian Murphy and Coolio.
Yeah.
What are you going to go with, Chris?
God.
The studio is.
He's like,
they
he
really want
said
Coolio.
he said Coolio, but they thought
Yeah,
they got it got lost in translation somehow. And then Cillian showed up on set and he was like, well, I feel bad kicking him off, so just give him the mask and we'll roll tape. We'll have to apologize to Coolio.
When he was in the mask, that was Coolio.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't clarify that.
Uncredited.
It was only uncredited bastards.
Yeah.
But no, I also love Scarecrow. Scarecrow is definitely my favorite Batman villain. So I was a big fan of him being the recurring villain, and his appearance in this one's the best. I loved the line as well where he comes out the back of the van, and the guy's like, "Oh, look what your drugs have done to my customers," and he's like, "Look, but buyer beware." It's like he said that his compound would take you places. He never said there'd be places you wanted to go. I was like, "Oh, this is good. This is a good."
The dialogue
good scare. He's basically become a drug. Yeah, it's so strong.
Yeah.
It's like he's basically a narcotics dealer now, which it does work for Scarecrow, I think, because like he could very easily make money selling fear gas to people because it's a hallucinogenic. Plenty of people will probably buy that, not like unknowingly rather, not just because they heard it. Oh, it's crazy. You see some crazy shit on this, they're like, all right, I'll have some. But it was believable. And I loved how he comes out the back of the van. He does that like slink thing as he opens the doors. It's like, he's got his mask
cool
on.
scene. I love the fact
exactly.
He's got his mask on because it's
I
not
feel
like they're
they should
hiding
have
the
done
fact
more
that
with
he's a villain. It's
Yeah, exactly. And like it's a trick I think they missed in the third one. Because he's obviously like the judge in the courtroom, and he's like sat there and he's got like the tweed suit on, which is great because it's like a Hessian kind of sack look, which would have matched the mask, but he doesn't have a mask on, nor does he have the mask anywhere. I was like, it should have at least been like on the table with him, or if he'd been wearing that could have been the best like Scarecrow look pound for pound ever. Because if it had the Hessian sack mask, he'd have had like the torn up tweed suit. Yeah.
I did read somewhere. I read somewhere a long time ago that originally when they were going to lead the villains out on the people onto the ice, they would have Scarecrow masks on, like instead of being blindfolded. Cool. But I don't know. I can't. Maybe it was like on the special features or something on the commentary they said about it. But
that would have been fun.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. That'd be
I think the reason was there was too many people in the scene, so like you don't manufacture Scarecrow masks because it's obviously supposed to be unique. So
yeah.
Anyway. Yes, but he's cool. I really like it. And I really like that bit. Although the Batman suit is quite frustrating in there as well because it's so stiff especially in that opening scene. It's really like bulky and you feel like no superhero could really get by with it being able to move that little. But then it's very cool with the impact on the car, although that feels very I
quite enjoy how cumbersome he is.
Doesn't that jump between IMAX as well in that scene? Like doesn't it when he goes onto the car, doesn't that switch to IMAX?
I'm not sure. Remember. I can't remember whether he does. I definitely remember the opening, and I remember the bit in China, that's IMAX. The bit with the Joker car where he's like leaning out the cop car, that was IMAX.
So good.
and the sonar stuff was all IMAX. I remember that.
Bloody sonar stuff.
Yeah. But I can't remember what else was. Yeah, so I can't remember they did that. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I really like him like cutting through the van. I think that's
I like it as well.
Although I think it's completely illogical. Like for the amount of effort he's cutting into the van to stop the van, because if you get in the back of the van, there's a bulkhead in there, so he'd just be in the back of a van.
Yeah,
for starters.
Like,
he's got another wall to cut through to get to the drivers. Yeah. For the effort he's putting in, just get close to the door and pull the door open.
Could have just bataranged the door. Like could have
I'm not sure what he was trying to do by cutting the side of the van, or whether that was like, well, my brain was like, maybe it's suggesting that the G force of him on the side of the van and he's gripping on it's tearing the side of the van.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But no,
he's actively trying to slice in. So I was like, why? I couldn't quite understand what his goal was there. I mean, spur of the moment, thinking on your toes. I guess it's pretty hectic if you jumped onto the side of a moving vehicle. I don't know what I'd be doing.
Dogs are everywhere.
Dogs are everywhere. Maybe that's what he was thinking. Get in the van, like get away from the dog.
Get safe from the dogs. Yeah,
yeah.
Get a ride back to the hotel, wherever he's staying, penthouse.
Well, whatever he was doing, he looked awesome doing it. But I don't know what the goal was. But maybe he had some gadget that would be more effective from within the van, like a bomb.
Yeah.
But yeah,
should we talk about Joker a bit? Like, obviously, that's probably going to be a bigger chunk of this, so it's probably good just to spend a bit of time on that. But obviously, this Heath Ledger obviously passed away after this. But I mean, he would have been. He would have been back for more, wouldn't he? You would think he would have reprised his role somewhere down the line.
I think rumor was always that there would be like an Arkham style scene, and you'd see Joker behind the
I heard that
bars kind of thing.
He was great, wasn't he? I mean, everything from his laugh to his makeup to his demeanor to like the scene in the interrogation room to when he talks to the gang to the lorry scene. Like, he's just spot on.
What's your favorite scene with the Joker?
I love the lorry scene. I love the just shooting the gun wildly. Like he's desperate for Batman to hit him, because that is really like for me that's like he knows they're like opposite sides of the spectrum, so he's just willing, like he's trying to test Batman as much as he can. It's like, well, if you run me over, I'll probably die because I'm only human. But he's like, I dare you to do it. So I really like that scene. But I also love that there's another level to it, because he kind of knows if he's caught, he's gone out already, because he's got the phone in that guy's body. It's all just I love that whole section of the film, which is, to me, that feels like Gotham, because it's dark and it's a bit moody. So I like that stuff. And there's like fires in the streets because obviously he's got a detour going on. So I really like that bit. And I really like the gang scene when he hits that guy's head against the pencil.
That's probably my favorite. I think I really like his laugh when he comes in, but it's sort of like, it's just awkward, and then he drops a joke and he's got the grenades, and I like
the jacket with the grenades is really good in his coat.
Of the two I juggle with are the scene where he jumps down the big pile of money. I love it.
That's good.
Any imagery with Joker and shitloads of money is great, because it's like meaningless to him, but it's such a good image. So I was mad for that when he jumps down the pile of money and sets fire to it. I was like, that's great. And all the dialogue for that's great as well, about feeding the guy to his dog. Or the scene where he shows up in the hospital dressed up as the nurse.
Yeah,
I can't get enough of it.
That was in IMAX as well.
That was in IMAX.
His reaction is so good when he sees Harvey and he's like, "Hi."
And the detonator as well.
I love it. Yeah,
I love the detonator when it doesn't work. But that was I think they, again, I can't remember where it might have been special features, but they had like one shot to do that. Like they had to get it right, because they were literally blowing up a building. So
was it that it didn't work as well? Was that it?
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah,
it was kind of improv in his part.
It was improv. He did loads, apparently, because he did a lot of the handheld things himself as well. The one with the prisoner when he's like rubbing his tummy and he's like slapping him on the face. That was like Nolan was so impressed with his work that he just like, oh, we don't even need a second unit, just let Heath Ledger shoot it himself, basically. But yeah, it was improv because he smacked it and it was supposed to go off and he was like, oh, it's not working, and then he's like
That's cool.
It's really good. The nurse's outfit is they must have thought when they put that on, just this is perfect.
It's like ridiculous, isn't it? But
because he snuck in, he's covered in his makeup as well, but he's just so stupid. And that's the thing that Harvey Dent wakes up to as well. It's not like a loved one or anything like that. It's just Joker in a nurse's costume.
Yeah,
it's very good.
It's so good. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Made me think of Killing Joke when he's in the Hawaiian shirt when he attacks Batgirl. Just like the irony that he's in this Hawaiian shirt when he paralyzes someone. And it's like, and this is in a nurse's outfit when he's, someone's lost half their face.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I always like seeing the Joker in any sort of crazy attires. I think it just works. Like, I'm all for it. You might as well. The guy's mental, so do it. Like, I find like giving him like a fixed uniform just seems wrong. Like if it's like, oh, he's got to be wearing purple and green, it's like, yeah, sure, you need like a signature Joker color scheme, but go nuts with
that's why Luke's costumes. When he's in the car and he's out the window, like he's got his like the shirt looks like almost saturated, but it's green and it's he just looks constantly like moist.
Yeah,
it's just it always looks a bit slimy, but it's just it's very well done. And the gloves as well, like it's not like his sleeves are always a little bit up as well, so it doesn't look like it should work, but it's it's really good. I mean, the hotel scene, the party, the fundraiser when he's like, hello beautiful, which is like one of the best gifts around. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just love pretty much everything he does, other than
it's hard to pick, isn't it?
The end, I find the end very frustrating, and I might as well just jump into that unless you two want to jump into something else quickly.
No, keep going on the Joker thing.
We'll come back around, but it's just because I feel like for such a good criminal, I think his end game is it's not flawed. So I don't want boats to blow up, and I don't want him to win, obviously, I guess. But it kind of just ends too abruptly because he's just hankering on the boat, but it's like, surely he's got this far, he must have another plan.
Well, it's Harvey, isn't it, at that point?
Yeah, I guess Harvey is, but it just feels like he just gets caught very easily in a way. So
I love this shot of him upside down laughing though.
Yes,
that's the best shot of the film, I think.
That is great. And it would have been really easy to kill him off as well. Like I thought when he's swinging around, it would have been really easy just to put like Jack Nicholson Joker, but obviously it makes sense that Batman doesn't kill him or nothing like that happens, like something stupid. I don't know, I think the whole sonar thing just ruins that third act. It's just so out there. Like it just and it takes away the detective side of things as well for me, because I would have loved for Batman to have just been smarter.
It's a hell of a Batman gadget though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I enjoy it on that level because
I guess
Batman's, like you say, he's detective foremost, but then the gadgets are always a fun feature, and I think Nolan nailed gadgets in his Batman films. There's some really fun bits where he gives, like in Begins, he gives the kid the periscope thing, who's Joffrey from Game of Thrones. More trivia,
bastard,
little Joffrey.
Yeah,
I do like the sonus. I like the different levels when the villains are dressed up as
the doctors,
hostages.
Yeah.
So I like that bit. I like the fact where Lucius Fox is navigating through the room stuff. I don't hate it, but I just think that's the weakest part of the film for me, is that bit. I would have rathered it be I don't know, just
it makes it much easier, doesn't it? Like it's very much laid out.
Easier. I would like
he's going to succeed from the off, essentially.
I'd like him to do it on his own. Like I know he's got gadgets and he can use gadgets, but I would have liked to be like, right, I'm going in the warehouse, I'm going to the bottom floor, I'm going to work my way up to the top. But it just I don't know, it just felt a bit too easy. I know it wasn't easy because he had to fight a lot of people when he got attacked by dogs again, and Joker gave him a bit of a battering with his Nike shoes, but just I don't know what more I could have wanted from it really, but it just felt, the more, like you said, Nick, the more you've seen it, like you've noticed things, and that is the bit when I get to that point in the film. So obviously it's quite a long film as well. I think, okay, like all of my favorite bits are done now. Like all of my best bits are done, and I could take or leave this
fun.
part of the film. So,
Yeah. I going off of killing villains, by the way, I've never thought about this, but Batman full on kills Two-Face. Like, never thought about it. But like, he knocks him off the building.
Yeah.
but is he trying to? He's not trying to kill him, though, is he? Do you think? Because I think he's trying to. He's trying to say.
He's trying to stop and kill someone, but he does inadvertently kill him.
Yeah, he kills him.
Whether deliberately or otherwise, he does kill him. That's definitely a killing.
Because I said to you on the Batman Begins podcast, I always thought of like that he kills Ra's al Ghul, and I've never thought about Two-Face. And then when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, he does full on push a guy off a building. And like,
well, if I'd done this right, I can think this is how I like mark it as a killing. If I was in the exact same scenario and someone's pointing a gun at people and I'm like, fuck it, and I just tackle him off a building and boom, and he's dead, I'd look at him and go, oh shit, I killed him. So he killed him. He's dead. Batman legit
unless when they're both lying on the floor, he whispers to him, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. And Harvey's like,
he's like, oh fuck.
He could have army rolled him in. I didn't look at it like that. I just looked at him like he's trying to save the kid, and he's in that moment he's saving the kid, and then there's obviously the aftermath of that as Harvey's dead. But obviously he could have. I don't even know.
Ooh, maybe is that intentional though? Because Joker's thing is he says tonight you're gonna have to break. He says that he's gonna have to make him break his one rule.
That's the point.
I'd never realised that.
But I don't think he.
So Joker won.
Yeah,
Joker did win. Yeah, but I don't think that was. But again, I don't think that's the thing afterwards, isn't it? Batman's like the Joker, because he says the Joker won, didn't he? Like the one good thing Gotham had. But I don't think he went. I don't think in that specific moment, Christopher, the way it's written is that I'm going to kill Harvey Dent to save the kid. I think he's like, my instinct is telling me to save the kid, but he's not literally like, I'm going to kill Harvey Dent, because obviously if he could have, he probably would have had Harvey Dent land on him as well. But it's just the gut instinct, isn't it? It's like if my kid was being held by a supervillain, I would just, as long as I could get to her, I would be like, I'll sort the rest out. Obviously, he doesn't have time to think about the rest because he's.
It's not a premeditated murder, but it is.
No, that's what I think it is, isn't it? The end game is the same, isn't it? The Joker's won because he's done. The Joker's in Arkham Asylum. Someone's like, Harvey Dent's dead. He'd be like, nailed it.
Yeah, did it. Yeah.
Where's Batman? Oh, he's on the run. Great.
Yeah, I'd never quite clicked it. I just always kind of thought like, that Harvey's like falls, but then I was like, no, Batman does. Like, he doesn't make an effort to save him. He's like, I'm just going to save. He kills kid.
He kills Bane as well, doesn't he?
No, I thought Catwoman kills Bane.
Oh yeah, Catwoman kills Bane. With the bat cycle.
With the bat cycle. Technically, Batman's weapon though. You shouldn't have given her that.
Yeah.
By letting her have the bike,
he
inadvertently murdered Bane.
I don't have to save you. That's how he gets away with killing everyone he wants. As long as he says
his hands of it.
As long as he says that.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd never really clocked it. But going off that, I do think, like, having watched this back, I think Gordon is probably my favorite thing about The Dark Knight. Like, I think Joker's great, but I think Oldman's acting is insane. I think he gets some of the best dialogue. And I think there's something really nice about his arc. I think he's probably got the best arc in the trilogy, in that he's there from the off of like giving Bruce his coat when he's a kid, and then seeing
coat fetish,
and then going all the way through to the end of Rises. I feel like he's the one that probably has the kind of best journey, and I think a lot of the legwork is done in this as well. I think I really like the whole thing where he kind of like fakes his death and he has to go back to his family, and like he couldn't even tell them, and I really like that. I also think perfect, like, again, it's part of what frustrates me, but the scene where he's got Joker in the cell and he's like, there's no fingerprints, all we found was like lint in his pockets. That is like perfect piece of dialogue, and like just the setting's perfect. That all works really well. It just then annoys me that it's contrasted against stuff that isn't Batman. But yeah, I feel like Oldman is the thing that I kind of came out of it on this watch anyway, and I was like, he's bloody good in it. Yeah, I just really like Gordon.
That was a great trailer as well for Dark Knight. That was when the first teaser for it was Gary Oldman's voiceover saying like, Like he has nothing on him but like this and lint, and then it's just hear his laugh. I think it was completely black when they did it. And it was just brilliantly done.
It's good.
I like the thing that if basically Batman had listened to Gordon in that scene where he's like, who chooses who saves who?
Yeah, it would have.
He would have actually saved Rachel.
Yeah,
but he goes in like gung ho, loses Rachel and fucks up Harvey. If he'd just done what Gordon had said,
you would have
actually all been fine.
Two-Face in the third act. Would have fixed it all.
No. They lost both of them, didn't they? That's the thing. He didn't save either of them. He didn't save Harvey.
He saved Harvey. He got there in time.
Yeah, but it wasn't Harvey anymore, was it?
But if he got to Rachel,
he'd
have saved her, right?
Yeah, that's true. He probably would have saved her.
Because he stalls when he gets in, because he's like, what? Like, and then like walks him out essentially, and the bomb goes off. And it's like, well, a little more urgency would have been good. But which he would have had, presumably, if he'd walked in, it had been Rachel. So technically, he could have saved someone without them being terribly burned. I don't know if Gordon would have made it to Harvey.
Yeah,
but it would have ruined the Joker's plan. So I think the Joker's like relying on the fact that, well, because he notices it early, doesn't he, about the way he threw himself after her. Yeah, he's got a win, so he's already masterminded it in that he knows Batman's going to go hell for leather for Rachel because he already has. So telling him to go for the wrong person was clever.
The interrogation scene is really well done, isn't it? As well, I love the fact that he's waiting in the dark and he just smacks Joker's head against the table, and then
find that kind of bullshit though, at the same time. Though
it is a bit bullshit, but it's still I still like it though. It's good bullshit.
It's good bullshit, but I feel like the casual, like, never start with the head, the victim gets all fuzzy and can't feel the next thing. I don't think that's based on any kind of science. If you smash my head into a table with any vigor, I'm not going to just be like, don't do that because I don't feel the next thing. I'm going to be like, fuck my face. I'm going to need a minute for sure. And then when he smashes my hand, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to me? This is all incredibly painful.
I like the fact when he says that it could be like it depends on what the time is. It could be in one place or another place, and it's like constantly switching because it's just very manipulative. And
we're saying they'll be blown up essentially, isn't he? Because like they could be in one place or several. So I enjoy it as well. The dialogue's really, really good throughout the whole film.
Dialogue in the whole film is insane. Like the script is really well done. It's definitely clever. But you can kind of see that in Begins as well. Like Begins has some great pieces of dialogue. So I think that's like it's consistent all the way through. Like they managed to create a trilogy that I think's got really strong dialogue all the way through.
I feel like they have a little bit more humor in this one as well, because they try and do a little bit in Batman Begins, but like Michael Caine on the boat and everything is a bit obviously a light-hearted comedy and stuff. I bet Michael Caine loved doing that scene. Right, just you on a yacht, you get paid $16 million to do this film, just on a yacht with these women. Bloody brilliant. So
victory.
It was good. I just I love the Joker bits a lot, and I think it would have been interesting. There was quite a lot of people that were up for the role. I remember reading like Paul Bettany and stuff were up for it, but when Heath Ledger got cast, I remember thinking that's just nuts, like absolutely nuts that this guy's got the role, because the only two things I could think about were A Knight's Tale,
great film,
and 10 Things I Hate About You,
great film.
So I was just like, I can't see past it. And I remember the first image I saw of him was they released the Why So Serious poster, and they released a shot of Christopher Nolan shooting, but you could just make out like a blurry version. He had bright green hair, it looks like, anyway. And I was like, I wonder what this is going to be like. But it blew my expectations way out the water. And I hated the fact that his death was linked to him having problems with the script and stuff, because obviously we know that's not the case really. But it was I don't know if that was a problem really, but they said like he had like a diary and stuff. But obviously he's just getting in the role, isn't he? It's just a horrible mistake with medication and stuff. But it just such a shame that he wasn't there to receive the acclaim that it got, because I mean his career would have just fucking skyrocketed, wouldn't it? If it wasn't already, he would have been like, would have been really, really good, because there's a lot of super. I mean, you could say like Robert Downey Jr.'s life has completely changed Iron Man, and it has, but this guy's, he's never going to be up for an Oscar. Like, people that were saying he should have got an Oscar for Endgame are just fucking nuts, because it's just not on par with something that Heath Ledger did as Joker. Like, it's going to be very, very rare that you get such a performance, and that's because it's been humanized, the role as well, in Dark Knight, and it was so well done.
I think that, the Dark Knight's definitely, in terms of the Joker, it's like a springboard for what comes next, in that you kind of get, like, you can see Heath's joke in Joaquin a little bit. I think Joaquin's probably like possibly a little bit further into like, I wouldn't mess with him. Like, I think Joaquin's version of Joker is like genuinely, he's crazy. Whereas I think the Dark Knight Joker is a little bit more tactical. He's a bit more kind of like
bit of a genius.
Yeah, he's always got two steps ahead.
Well, it's hard to know if you were to put Joaquin's Joker in like that sort of a Gotham, or just any Gotham. You can't see the criminal mastermind side of it, can you?
Yeah, it's just like
you can see the crazy side. Yeah, you can't see the, like you said, the tactical side of it.
Yeah, and I do really like that. I think that is the thing that Dark Knight does so well, is that Dark Knight is really kind of like the groundwork for where a lot of like the kind of like realism superhero films come from. Like, you can see it in like Man of Steel. I know they've said like Man of Steel, the kind of core of it was what if Superman existed in the world, and that is sort of what Dark Knight is it's like, what if you place Batman in an actual world? And that's that, for me, that's where I butt heads with it a little bit, and then it's like, well, you've lost the comic book thing by doing that. But I think Dark Knight opens up the world of giving people the option to do superhero films in a certain way, because before that it was pretty hapdash. I mean, like, there was some bad superhero films. X-Men 3.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Even X-Men 1 isn't that good. X2 is great. X-Men 1 is a little bit...
X1 is X2 is better than X1.
What?
For sure. Yeah.
What did you say about Spider-Man 1, Nick?
It's a little bit cheap.
Oh, suck so much.
Willem Dafoe's great.
Yes.
The rest is... I'm just not so...
Spider-Man 2, though, I think is great. I think that...
Good.
Yeah. Spider-Man 3.
For sure.
No.
I love the first Spider-Man. I mean, probably because I was quite young when it came. Well, I wasn't quite young. I was young, and it was like, blew my little mind. I was so happy. But Spider-Man 2 is great, and X-Men 2 is great. And it did. I mean, you think because Dark Knight and, like you said, Iron Man came out at the same time, it really was a huge springboard, wasn't it? I mean, you wouldn't, when these two films came out, you wouldn't think that we're getting like basically essentially what could be a darker Batman film around the corner, but also like 30 million Marvel films, and it really has and Joker, like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker as well. I don't think that would have I might not have come about round about now anyway if it wasn't for the Heath Ledger Joker. Who's your favorite Joker, by the way, out of all these Jokers that we've got going on in the world?
This will be interesting. Who's yours, Nick? We'll start with you. I think you must have a solid idea. You asked the question, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably Heath Ledger Joker. I think that's the one for me.
Okay.
I mean, other than Arkham Game Joker.
Arkham Game Joker is bloody good.
If we're allowed to count the computer ones, then it's like. But I would say Heath Ledger Joker.
If we have to go purely cinematic, because I think otherwise we're all just going to say Hamill's Joker, aren't we? Really?
Yeah. He's up there, isn't
he? Yeah, Hamill's Joker is nuts, but cinematically. I mean, I'm going to jump in and throw a curveball.
Yeah, you go for it.
Jared Leto.
Okay.
Sounds like it's the most like hated opinion, but like as far as I not to discredit any of the Jokers. I literally love all the Joker performances. I think I said before when we did one of these, I was like, I love variety in the performance. So I don't want to see the same Joker every time. And if the next Joker's even further removed from the last one, I'm all for it. And I feel that Leto's Joker is the most far removed from any Joker we've ever seen. There was some nutty attires. They did things which people didn't like from the off, giving him all the tattoos, which I loved. Like he's not a character that should necessarily please people's expectations. So I think when people were asking questions like, why has he got ha 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 tattooed all over, it's like, because he's insane. He doesn't, it's like, he would do that. People are like, the Joker wouldn't do that. It's like, how would you know what the Joker would do with his body? Like, the guy's been acid dipped, his brain's fried, and he's like, tattoos are a form of expression for anyone. So his tattoos are going to be stupid, aren't they, if he's insane?
And he's got grills.
Yeah, he's got the crazy teeth. He's got the ridiculously green hair. So I was mad for that performance, and even more so when they did the cameo he has in the Snyder Cut and things like that.
That is a Joker I'd like to see more of.
For sure. That
Joker.
But I just enjoyed how different it was, and I think he's the first Joker I've seen on screen where, when he shows up in a lot of the scenes, and in the Snyder Cut cameo, I just had no idea what he was going to do, and you're sort of on edge waiting for the next line or what he's going to deliver. So he, like in the Snyder Cut thing, he has he offers him the truce, and then obviously Batman takes the card, and then there's this little pause where it's like, oh, it looks like he's shitting himself, but you don't know what to expect. And I think Leto does a really good job of giving the character like a mystique that the other actors do wonderful things with, and Heath Ledger's performance is a thing of beauty.
It would have been good to see.
I do not discredit that at all.
A Leto Affleck Batman Joker would have been good, wouldn't it? If you could have got that on a film, it would have been interesting.
Yeah,
but I think it's really hard for me to cast any judgment on any of them, because even the Cesar Romero Joker, I think, is perfect for the like campy TV show. It works. Yeah. It's weird that he's got a mustache, but fuck it. I dig it. Yeah, I like Jack Nicholson's Joker for the setting. I like Ledger's Joker for the setting it's in, and I think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is incredible as well. So I love them all, but I think the one which has caught me off guard the most, which is why I like it the most, was the Leto one. But Heath Ledger's Joker is also ridiculously good for what it is. It's insane. But I would probably put my chips on Leto.
What are you, Nick?
I think mine is probably Joaquin, but like with an asterisk that if I had more of Leto, I think I'd really dig Leto. I don't feel like I've had enough to judge him. Like the Snyder Cut scene that he's in, like, just blew me away, because there is so much fucking tension there, and it is like the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight, that you feel the tension between these two characters, that you're like, oh my god. But in the Snyder Cut, it's like elevated. I'm just like, oh, I literally don't know if these two are just going to kill each other right now. Like
I think the advantage that scene has, though, is because it's set further down the line.
Yeah, you've got
history. There's history.
Yeah,
so it has like a foot up there, which I kind of like. I don't discredit, but it's like that is an unfair advantage it has on a lot of other Batman Joker performances.
Yeah,
but it's still great.
But I think like the thing about Joaquin's is that, like, by the end of that film, you're almost happy that the city is rioting.
Yeah.
Whereas in Dark Knight,
you're so on side towards the end.
Yeah, like you're not necessarily on the Joker's side. You're still on like the side of Batman. Like it still ends on the like Batman is the Dark Knight, and that's the big like climax for the Dark Knight. Whereas in Joker, the scene where he just stands in the car is just like, oh my god, this person, amazing. And
it was huge.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, it's, you know, he's in Gotham. It feels like he's in a city that's like ready to riot at any point. So yeah, I'd say that with like the asterisks of Leto if they ever gave him more. But I do think Heath Ledger's amazing, and like you said, Harry, he suits the world. Like he suits.
Yeah, he's perfect. World. He's absolutely perfect for it.
Yeah, I'd love to see his Joker in Gotham. Like if you could put him into Batman Begins, I'd be curious to see how that works.
I think it worked perfectly.
Yeah, I think it would be tonally like really, really nice. But just because it's around the Dark Knight, there's things I bump into.
So Two-Face then with by Aaron Eckhart, played by Aaron Eckhart. That's we said a bit earlier that he's I don't know, it wasn't done quite similar to the way the comics probably could have done it, or it could have been done. But I still enjoy his performance as Harvey Dent. I actually like his Harvey Dent stuff quite a lot.
Yeah, I think as Harvey Dent, he's good. I wish that he was Two-Face in another film, like that he had the time to breathe into that character, because it all feels very quick.
He looked good as Two-Face. I like the way he looks though as Two-Face. I love the CGI is bang on, like with the eye.
Yeah,
I can't do it justice.
I think I'm going to say best version of Two-Face.
What do you mean, Tommy Lee Jones?
Second
Harry.
best.
Yeah.
No, I think his version of Two-Face is my favorite for the visual.
Yeah,
it is good. That Two-Face.
Just trying to think of what else I've got, but
if you took that Two-Face without a reference to the comics, like the Long Halloween, for instance, that you were saying, Nick, then it's pretty good. But it just didn't feel like they could have gone even darker with it, and they could have done a whole film on Two-Face.
Oh yeah, he never made it to like criminal overlord.
No,
I just mean on how he looks. I think it's hands down the best looking representation of Two-Face in anything.
Yeah, I think
I love it.
Yeah, I'll give you that visually. I've always really liked it. I think it's cool. I really like when he drinks the glass that he sort of like
wipes his
nice
lip.
touch.
Yeah.
I just don't think he should be in this film. I think that should have been like left for another film. Especially after reading Long Halloween, because you can kind of see like almost where they pulled source material for him for the Dark Knight. You can kind of see it. It's just in the Long Halloween, he's fleshed out and he's got like a whole arc, and it's way more interesting.
Again, he would have been a good villain to keep around as well, wouldn't he? I know obviously they can't plan, obviously, with Heath Ledger passing away, and they were going to keep the Joker, but in a different world, if they just kept him as well, like if he could have really been the thing that got under Batman's skin in the next film, because he's just been completely, he's just corrupted from one extreme to another. He's completely corrupted now. But it just felt that whole, like I said, with the third act, it just happened so quickly. Like he's goes from hospital to in a limo, to in a bar to in a limo to the end.
Yeah,
there's no.
I enjoyed the thing I like the most though, which I think it's not comic accurate, but just the way they did it so he doesn't have a split personality. Because in everything else, I do enjoy how in the comic books or like the Arkham games, there's literally, he's having like an inner dialogue with himself, and there'll be moments where he's like, wait a minute, and there's like talking back and forth with himself.
I like that as well.
But I enjoy more, I think, the fact that this version of Two-Face is about just fairness. And so it's like, it's not that he's got any inner dialogue. He's just realized, it's like he's had like an awakening to everything's chance. So like he doesn't
take away with his chance with the driver, isn't it? Because he's like, okay, I still want you to be in pain, but I'm going to give this guy another chance, and I hope that is going to kill you or do some serious damage. So
exactly. And the coin thing's such a great touch as well. So it's not like the fact that he got half burned and the coin got half burned, so that's like why that's the way he is, and he has a split personality. So conveniently he's got this coin toss thing. I just love that it's the coins it's a fake coin that he made, a lucky coin
cheesy.
Which is
it wasn't cheesy,
was
like,
it was good. It was like it was something his dad gave him. Is that what they say? So it's like it's his dad's lucky coin. That it's heads on both sides, so he always wins. And it's like it's a running thing. So then
he gave it to Rachel, didn't he? So
and then when the coin gets burned, it's like it's just like it makes sense. Like the journey feels like a full circle rather than just being a guy who's a bit loopy and talks to himself.
But the coin is a split personality, isn't it? That's the symbolism, isn't it? That is,
yeah, exactly.
He's not mentally split personality, but the coin is like the good and the bad. So
the only thing that I really bumped into on this rewatch is that he gets his name from the cops who call him Harvey Two-Face,
which I like. I like
the natural kind of way that they introduce his name, that it's not like, oh, you're Two-Face now. I just didn't get the, like, if he's Two-Face in terms of like the law, surely that
isn't it because they said he trained at the Two-Face thing, isn't it that he trained in law school to become a police officer, but ended up becoming a criminal justice attorney. So he's like turned on what he was training to be.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's that. If I'm
it
right,
is that.
because then the police are looking at him like, oh, so you'd have trained to become a police officer, but now you're defending criminals, essentially.
Yeah.
He was going to be one of them, wasn't he? That was it. He was supposed to be one of them, but he's like almost to them. He's a villain, isn't he? To the police, he's a bit of a villain, and that's why they're
because he may or may not be in different instances helping out criminals by defending them. So it's like. That's a fun. I like that as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's his first appearance with Gordon when he becomes mayor.
Okay,
he touches on it then, and it's not until later when he's in the hospital bed and he's like, "What was it you and the other guys at law school or whatever it is used to call me?" But and
he snaps them when he says it, doesn't he? Which is good as well.
I thought it was great, but no, I agree. I like how he's introduced, and I feel like I enjoyed the fact Two-Face is what he is in that film, and I don't. There was no other way they could have put him in, and made him more of an asset to the film than what they did. But it would have been nice to see more of him, as a crime lord. But his arc kind of does everything it needs to do. So I think if he lingered, if he didn't die in that. The plot's pointless.
Yeah.
And if he was anything more than what he was, it was like it would detract from what you're getting from the Joker, because he's basically a pawn in the film.
Yeah.
So I enjoy how it goes.
Well, he's the thing. He makes the film because he was everything to do with the promos for the film, with voting for Harvey Dent. He is a small part of the film, isn't he? He's actually, to get from the beginning to the end, he actually links the film quite nicely. But that's the shame in not only the actor and the way he portrays it, but we don't get more of it. But I mean, in a MCU world of it, then he would have been in an end credit scene, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
he would have got burnt. He would have been in end credits, and he would have been the villain in the next Batman film, or part of that thing as well. But here, for him, he was means the end. He was just this had to happen, like you said, Harry. He had to die. For the whole
embodies the line, doesn't it? Because he's like, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So it's
fuck me. Some good quotes in this film, aren't there?
Yeah, it's got some really good quotes. But his character, as much as I think I'd love to see more of Two-Face, is the perfect arc. That's as good as they could have possibly done for what he was supposed to do in that film. Because the intention would never have been to have him carry on into another film because of what he's supposed to do. The only way to have done it would have been to have put him in a film before, but then it doesn't really work as part of Joker's plot. So I think that's as good as we were ever going to get for what they did with it. I loved it. I thought it was great. Two-Face was awesome in that.
Yeah, I think it is, again, it was Long Halloween ruined it. In that, I always felt like he was just done short, in that I was like, I just wanted more, but it's perfectly fine as what it is. And then reading Long Halloween, I was like, he's such an interesting character that there's just too much that he could have done. And it just feels like it's very kind of circumstantial. This has to happen. We have to do it here. It has to do this, has to do this, rather than naturally he kind of gets there. And part of me just wishes that he didn't get burnt in this film, that he was just Harvey Dent, and that the next one is about in terms of Harvey Dent being the villain and him becoming Two-Face, that they give him that storyline and they give him the room to just be Two-Face. But visually I think he's cool. I just wish that he wasn't Two-Face in it. I wish they kind of had just kept that separate.
I agree. Yeah. I can see. I mean, I haven't reread The Long Halloween in a while, but I feel like if I read that close to watching this, I probably would feel a bit similar thinking about it now. But I do like what they did anyway. I mean, I love the film, like I've said a million times now, but I think it worked for what they were doing for this.
Agreed.
With the score then by Hans Zimmer and someone else, isn't it? It's not just Zimmer, is it? It's, we said this for Batman Begins. We were like, wasn't it two people? It was, I'm sure. Whoever the other person was.
XL again.
No, Jonathan. What's his name? what was his name?
James Newton.
James Newton, yes.
James Newton Howard. Yeah.
But it's a very good score. A booming score.
Yeah.
It's I was gonna actually write down the Joker bits as well, like you said, Harry, where it's like tonally shifts up when he does something.
I don't know music well enough to tell you what note it is, but it just has that one like note that does it increase in pitch? Don't know, but it increases in something in such a way that all the scenes it's got like it has you on the edge of your seat, doesn't it? Instantly, and as it picks up, the scenes sort of getting more intense and shit is kicking off, and you don't know. You're almost waiting for them, and it does, doesn't it? Actually, sorry, because when because you wait for it to that like boom, boom, like beat. It's when he's been killed, as it were, and they take him in to hand him over. It has the same theme when they're like they say they're obviously handing him as if they've captured him dead, and that music starts playing, so you know shit's about to hit the fan the moment it does, and then it's like he's dead. It's 5 million, and then the music hits the pitch and goes boom, and he sits up and he's like, "How about alive?" And you're like, "Oh, it's so the music." Like the music, I don't know which way fucking round they did it, but I'm guessing they did the music. They added the music after, but they've done he said Junkie XL. What was his name?
Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard.
Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard curated it perfectly for all the scenes, all of them. A lot of it is great, and like they peak exactly when you need them to, and it's done. It's weird because like a lot of things when you listen to them, like with any sort of score, like Jaws or something, where it builds, shit's going down, but it always still seems to land and get you, like even though you're kind of prepared for it because you know it's coming. It does the same thing with the Joker scenes. You just hear that pitch, so you know something's up. You're like, he's obviously not dead, or this scene's going to go south because it's got this thing going. But when it reaches it, it's still like twice as impactful. Whereas like you'd probably expect it to be half as impactful because you know it's coming. But if that makes any sense, it's so good. All the score for it, I loved it.
I think it's like it is the precursor to what Nolan starts to do with his next films. In that, like when you get to Dunkirk, the sort of like tension thing is literally like a ticking clock, and that's
the opening of that
into the score is that like there is a clock that is constantly going, and then it like peaks, and then the clock kind of comes back, and you sort of know when to expect there's going to be like a big thing, that it's like a score that is created as a countdown.
That's a good way to describe it.
I think that's I think this is like the starting point for Nolan, because if you listen to the scores of like Inception, Interstellar, and fucking Dunkirk,
they get fucking louder and louder.
They do get louder and louder, but they've all got that same kind of like thing where it's
too loud in Tenet. We said that, didn't we? She's mental.
That wasn't even.
I didn't even watch it in the cinema. I watched that at home, and it was so fucking loud, and it was annoying because I have to keep like adjusting the volume to be like, fucking hell, I'm going to wake everyone on my street. And it was like, I can't hear what they're saying. So I turn it back up. And so it's like Robert Pattinson's now at like speaking level. And then the next big scene would fucking hit. And I'd like, my clothes would tear off. And I was like glued to the wall, like some fairground ride. It was awful. But it was a great film. But
Zimmer, which is the mad thing. Like,
it's not.
No, for Tenet.
You like Tenet? You said it was a great film?
Yeah. I enjoyed Tenet,
awesome.
But
boom.
But you didn't like Spider-Man 1. This is the world I'm living in.
No, I said I like Spider-Man 1. There's a lot I don't like about it, but Spider-Man 1's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I thought Tenet was an absolute shit show.
Interesting.
Yeah, loved it.
We'll come back.
Hold on, though. Who scored Tenet?
Ludwig. I can't remember his surname. Göransson, the guy who did.
Well, I think what he tried to do was interesting because he was great in Mandalorian, but with Tenet, I think he's tried to be Christopher Nolan.
He's tried to
laid it on thick. Yeah, he's like, how can I make this louder? Yeah. He did, okay.
He did Mandalorian, and
I just assumed that was straight, not Nolan. I just assumed that was straight up Zimmer from the off.
He did not get given a coat for Christmas.
Yeah, he also did
Black Panther, really?
Yeah. And Falcon and Soldier.
Ooh, interesting.
Entirely forget.
He has a good little
CV.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. The
Welcome.
curriculum vitae.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I was about to say as well. Yeah. So we should wrap up there. But I did have one thing. I had a dream about Jared Leto. It sounds sexier than it is.
I'm interested.
I had a dream. It was about Joker because you guys were talking about him earlier, and I had a dream. You know the White Knight comic, the one where I don't know if you read it, Harry, but the one where Joker is he's more like human than Joker. He's his alter ego or his real form than Ape done. And I had a dream that it was Ben Affleck Batman was the Batman in that comic, and Jared Leto was the Joker. But Joker, he was more Jared Leto than Joker, and he switched in between. And it was like came out as a film, and it was just a solo Batman film, but it was basically called White Knight, and it was based on
really buy it as well. I think, the Batman in White Knight is a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he's a bit of a dick. So the Batman, and he's a bit bulky, so he's a bit Ben Affleck like. And then the Jared Leto one, you could see like the transformation, like where he's switching in between insane and not insane. Like he's got a really long pistol. And anyway, in my in my dream, we talked about it in like a podcast form or in person. It was like he fucking nailed it, didn't he? Like Jared Leto nailed this human role of Joker and the Joker version. So I'm just putting it out there in the world. Probably won't ever happen, but if
if we do a fake podcast like it has happened, and maybe it will gain traction, and people will be like, "Oh God, I really want to see." Everyone like gets it. Like, I want to see where the fuck have they seen this film? And it's like it doesn't exist.
We're talking about the White Knight film.
It starts a big like movement, Twitter hashtags.
I think it would work because the comic's popular, and obviously the title, like the White Knight, would work, and it's strong. Sean Gordon Murphy's already built a world. Like he's already got like his own Mr. Freeze and his own Harley Quinn and stuff. It's I think we should just push it out there into the world. But it was really good. I mean, the film is not real, obviously, but in my dream
did you wake up really upset when you woke up? Like
it was one of those things. It only came back to my brain the other day when I was talking to someone about Harley Quinn, and I was talking about the spin-off to the White Knight, the Harley Quinn one, and I was like, oh yeah, I had a dream about this, and like there was a White Knight film, and it was fantastic, and me, Nick, and Harry were talking about it, and it was the best of everything because we all wanted like to see Jared Leto Joker again, but we all wanted more Batman in the Warehouse from Affleck, and it had everything because the opening scene is Batman chasing Joker in a warehouse.
It's perfect.
Like shoving pills down his mouth. So anyway, join us for our White Knight podcasts in 2020.
Did you wake up from that dream like you'd come out of the Matrix?
I was just like, oh fuck me, it's great. Like what pill did I have? That's everything. But it would be good. I mean it's going to get made into a film eventually, isn't it? Because eventually there'll be like another 5 or 10 Batman films that be like, right, let's delve into the White Knight. That was popular. So so that could happen. Right. Anything else we need to cover about the Dark Knight, guys? Everyone happy?
All good?
I think so.
Alrighty then. So that's the end of our in-depth episode for the Dark Knight. You can find more about the Consistently OK podcast in several different areas of the world. You can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at ConsistentlyPod, and on YouTube by simply searching for Consistently OK podcast. We stream on all podcast services, and each episode comes out on Wednesdays. If you're an Apple Podcast subscriber, you can subscribe for extra content. And that is this episode done and dusted. Thank you very much, Mr. Harry Hughes, for joining us again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Luke Barnes and Mr. Nick Good, for having me again. Very kind. It's an honour.
We'll have you again soon. So our next episode is going to be just our pop culture episode where we're going to talk about Master of the Universe Revelation.
Yes.
Hawkeye. Yeah. Probably some other things as well, I guess. There's probably loads of stuff happening in the next 2 weeks. Eternals. Oh.
Yeah. Have you pre-planned your trivia for the episode?
We'll get some Harry trivia in there, definitely. And I saw Shang-Chi. So
nice. Good.
It's all
how many stars would you rate Shang-Chi?
Oh, I mean, I can say it now.
Possible 5.
No, we do 10. We do 10 consistently okay stars. I don't know. I can't remember.
We didn't do Dark Knight.
Okay. Well, Dark Knight. I'll give 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
It's huge.
Nick? 7.
Or 7. This is really weird because I was going to say 8.
Oh, 7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9.
I was going to say I'm no mathematician, but that is in numerical order. And I would give Shang-Chi probably a 7. Maybe
I think that was a 6.5, wasn't it? Really?
I actually think it's more of a 7.5 because we'll talk about on the next podcast. But what I liked about, because I saw Eternals and then I saw Shang-Chi.
Okay,
so we're going to talk about this, but it went from like, to like, that's a bit better. That's a bit more Marvel. And what I liked about Shang-Chi was like straight into the action, and they did it. Like it was a bit more. I can't talk about it too much because I've got a lot to say about it on the next podcast. But I feel like I've started you off here. Now. It was good.
Stop.
The only thing that let me down a little bit was
stop.
Just a simple yes or no. Did you, after seeing it, did you agree with my review that it's the most Disney Marvel film?
No, Nick.
It is.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
definitely is.
There's like barely any MCU. It's all like could be a spin-off of like some Disney animated series.
Yeah.
Dragons.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you say that. Have you seen the Disney Raya the Last Dragon? Whatever it's
yes,
called.
amazing. Loved it. So good.
That's fantastic. But that dragon is basically
Shang-Chi.
dragon in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I agree.
I haven't seen it, but I want to see it desperately.
It's cracking, but it literally is. And it doesn't help that Awkwafina's in both.
Yes.
And that sort of,
Oh.
It is basically Raya the Last Dragon too.
Yeah. Already happened. Cool.
We should do, I was thinking, everyone might as well hear, but we should do a podcast on Joker. Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yes. As a bonus.
As a bonus episode.
Yes.
Let us know if you want us to do that, and we will talk to Harry's agent.
It's fun story though. That's probably the only film that all three of us have seen together as well.
We did go to the cinema, the local Stavanger, Norway Cinemaplex.
Yeah. So if you want to hear the story about that, tell us, and we'll podcast.
We'll tell that tale.
It gets pretty steamy when the credits roll.
That was a good film, wasn't it? Anyway, right. Cool. We'll talk about Joker and Shang-Chi another time. And Eternals. What
has happened?
I didn't mind Eternals, by the way. Well, we'll talk about it later. Anyway, right. Thanks everyone for listening. Harry, thanks. Nick, thanks. We've completely spiraled at the end here.
We made it so far.
Normally this is so organized, and then Harry steps in and says, "What did you think of Shang-Chi?" How many stars would you give it? First of all, how many stars would you give out of 5? Like an absolute lunatic. It's 10 here.
I came in with a match and everything was covered in gasoline.
Okay, you're just Joker jumping down the pile of money.
Yeah.
Right, guys and world, take care, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Ta-ra.